Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first live streamed Valheim conversation. This is a new format for the interviews and Valheim discussions where they are live streamed so that you guys in the community can access us and interact with us and talk to us while we are here. I think this is going to allow me in particular to have more of these conversations more frequently because I can just chat with people. I no longer need to edit the video and figure everything else out. And that's going to be really cool. And today I'm honored to be here with one of my favorite Valheim people, Dhakhar. How's it going, man? You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm good, doing good. For those who don't know, I'm Dhakhar. I do some YouTube content with Valheim and mainly building, but in the last year or so, I've been getting more involved with EWP.
Oh yeah. And we're basically like EWP addicts, I guess.
Yeah,
So for those of you
yeah.
who go on.
I was just gonna say it's a very addicting thing to dive headfirst into and get lost in all the different things you can do with it.
Yeah, so here I'll actually show expand world prefabs. So for those of you, I mean, if you're watching, you probably know what EWP is, let's be real. But for those of you who don't know, EWP is a server side mod for Valheim that allows you to rewrite all of the rules and mechanics and pretty much do anything you can imagine as long as you use assets that already exist in the game. And in this video, in this live stream, Dhakhar and I are going to talk and chat about our EWP projects. Dhakhar has Heim Divers, which we'll get more into. I hope he shows some of his screen at some point. We can leave this server and see that. It's crazy, mind-blowing stuff. I have Enigma and Path of Magic. These are my EWP projects, and I have a feeling once we get these things released and out to the public, people will really start to realize just how much is possible with EWP. But right now, they don't know. They haven't seen it. They haven't gotten that taste.
Not yet, not yet.
Exactly. And welcome, by the way, to Muhammad and Tim and Zeal and Left. And one second, I need to scroll up a little bit. There's one more. Oh no, Tim already said hello. Awesome, awesome. Thanks, everybody. And just so you know, if you ever want to ask anything throughout this, just let us know in the chat. This is more of like a casual conversation. We'll probably just kind of walk down the path. I'll ask Dhakhar some questions. Maybe he'll ask me something. And as you guys interact, you can ask us things, etc. And I'll be looking at it and see how it goes. So to start off, I think Dhakhar, most people know about your adventure map project with 9byte.
For
So
sure, yeah.
why don't you tell us a bit about like what EWP like how is EWP different than that? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you used Infinity Hammer and like World Edit commands and these kind of things to make the adventure map,
Yeah.
but you had to work within a lot more constraints, right?
Yeah, a lot more constraints. Part of exploring EWP has almost been like, how could we have done it differently, or how might we do it in the future, kind of thing. But yes, you're right. We used mainly things from world edit commands, changing data values and adding fields and things like this to make all of the different interactions and add the different text and things like that. So EWP has just opened up a lot more options. Not only one of the restraints we faced on the data side of things was not being able to use certain falses, things like that, because Valheim would not load falses.
Uh,
So
that's the zero thing, right?
yeah, on like ints we can't use a zero, and a couple of other things like the main one that I can think of off the top of my head, the most common one was check solids fall false. So for things like trees and
Yeah.
runestones, we can't just like place them in the air and have them not fall. We had to come up with other tricks to make them not fall. But yeah, so EWP gets rid of not only all of those restrictions, but enables us to properly add our own rules, conditions, triggers, responses from the game, all kinds of different things.
So I guess really though, like that's why you're so able to develop in EWP, isn't it? Because you've had so much practice in a more constrained situation, right? What did Sorry, I just like
Oh,
randomly died. But go on. I'll get back to you.
um, yeah, I think that does help in some way because Ninebite and myself have already had to kind of think around certain problems and come up with different solutions. So when there is a problem within EWP or a creative solution needed, I do have some experience to draw on there for sure. And on the data manipulation side of things, definitely having some of the prior experience doing the RPG map helped with that, being more familiar with the data structure and different fields. But certainly not anything that someone couldn't pick up fairly quickly. There's not really any special skill needed to do these data things. It's just a little bit of fiddling around. So you know the techniques. Saved you.
Oh, so you can see that enemy. Yeah, I see what's
Yeah.
happening. So basically, because I'm live streaming, my connection to the server isn't loading things properly. So whatever killed me, I didn't see that. I just died. So probably
Okay.
we should walk. I'm sure. What's the? Because I'm like moving too fast when I run, right? So if we just, I'm just trying to remember what's the hotkey to walk in Valheim.
Oh, for me it's C.
C. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I just need to make it so my client isn't loading stuff as much, and then it should be fine, because we just need to kind of chat, really. The visual is not too important. And so I'll look at a couple of the comments you've responded to already. Oh, hey, Constantine, welcome, by the way. That's Constantine Ping, right? I think you're Ping. If I remember right, Constantine is Ping. Hello, welcome, welcome. And let's see. Tim says a little bit of fiddling around in response to your comment. It's a good point, actually.
Um, I mean, it always starts with a little bit, and then, I mean, I think you experienced it a lot with the catapults fairly recently, doing your fortress redesign, where you find one thing you can mess with, and then another, and then another. It kind of snowballs like that.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. When I did the latest charred forts revision, it was I started saying, okay, I want to work on this big coin trader project. But before that, I need to warm up with a little 30-minute task, a little hour. And exactly, yeah. I was messing with the catapults, and then I was like, oh, what if I do this? What about that? What about that? What if some verdure help the siege? And then before I knew it,
Yeah.
I spent the whole week working on that script. And yeah, exactly. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill.
We have an update coming out for the RPG map this weekend, and for the Ashlands part of it, and we're very excited about some of the parts of it where there are mechanics that part of it we had in the first map, but then with some new ideas and new tricks, we're like combining several different things together to make something different and even better than it was before. So that's been really fun for us.
I mean, those are the best mechanics from my experience is when you make something and then you witness other people do it and it shows you exactly what to do next. It's like
Yeah.
the path forward is clear. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that update is? Because I know a lot of people listening, they've played the adventure map, so they might not know that yeah, that you guys are releasing something soon for it.
Yeah, so the very first release of the adventure map was before the Ashlands update. And then since then, obviously, we've had that update, and part of the map was based in the old Ashlands, so that had to be completely redone. But it was only a small part of the map, so not a big deal. And obviously, since that first release, there's been many smaller updates, a lot of new locations and things added, but certainly nothing of this scale. So this update is we've added all of the content for the Ashlands, making use of all the new equipment and gear, mechanics, catapults, battering rams, all of that sort of stuff. So rather than adding little bits here and there, we've done all of the Ashlands in one update.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically, because the adventure map was made before Ashlands came out, you used the biome area there, but then had to redo that part of it. But then also all of the assets in that update you didn't have available when you developed the map. So now you're doing that, right? And Tim asked a good
Yeah.
question actually. He said, "Are you staying true to the old way on the adventure map? No EWP, or will the adventure map updates include EWP?"
We're staying true to the old way for the foreseeable future with the adventure map. 9byte is very interested in EWP though, and we have some other ideas to maybe push out like smaller bite-sized EWP. Sorry, smaller bite-sized EWP content like mini adventures, mini games, this kind of thing. But it's still something we're discussing. But yeah, so for the moment, the adventure map will stay unmodded. It's something we've talked about a lot. Shall we just include this? Maybe just with this EWP thing, we could include this feature. But it's a big step to go from 0 mods to 1 mod required.
Yeah.
It cuts out the whole Xbox audience straight away.
I mean, in my head, the adventure map shouldn't have EWP for that reason. It would go
Yeah.
against sort of your developing mentality that, because I remember when I talked to you and 9byte about it, you mentioned that like one of the things you agreed on from the beginning is that it needs to just be like a world file you download and that's it. No installation,
Yeah,
nothing. You just play on the world file, right? So, I mean,
exactly.
that makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense to have EWP be separate, because you would be really changing the dynamic if you started just adding it. Because, like you said, they would then have to install EWP.
Yeah. And even though servers could run it where the player just has to join, then we're potentially doing 2 different versions, and yeah, it could be a lot more work potentially. So yeah, I think for now, adventure map stay unmodded, and we have our eyes on some ideas for EWP content in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess like the thing that could be done is on the because you guys run like a live version of the server, right?
No, we don't. There have been
Oh.
like a couple that we have. Uh, I wouldn't say said like this is the official server, but have been servers that we've directed people towards and whatever, that sort of thing. But because because of how the map is built, like there's no resetting kind of thing, so it's not very good for someone to join and someone's already done, half the quests.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
so yeah, it works much better as like you and your friends playing it kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think when I've heard about servers before, it was probably people hosting them, and I think they would like
Yeah,
reset it once a week or something, or every two. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but I remember they told me something like that. Let's see. So I'd actually like to. I just noticed something while we were walking here that I think helped me figure out a problem. because I very rarely develop with another player in the chunk I'm in. But I don't know if you noticed, but earlier as we were walking and we passed by that burial chamber, a bunch of lightning bolts showed up, and then there were like six skulls on the ground behind us. Um,
So that didn't show up for me, but I could see it on the live stream.
oh wait, so you only saw one skull or nothing?
I didn't see the lightning for sure, unless it was just behind me and I didn't catch it in the camera.
Yeah, okay. But something I've noticed is that when there are multiple, he just shows up. When there are multiple people on the server, I've had like these issues basically where things will happen many times, and I thought it was because of something in a script, but I see now that what's actually happening is that there's two people, right? And each client has to load the change that the server just made, creating a gap when both people trigger something for things to trigger multiple times. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So that was just a little, it's not really super relevant, but that was a little learning lesson there.
I see what you're saying.
And then basically the skulls and the lightning bolt that you saw, when you get near a dungeon in Palm, it'll spawn a respawn point for you on the ground. And then if you die in the dungeon, your tombstone gets teleported to that respawn spot, which is always going to be somewhere you walked before. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
That way, if a person dies inside a dungeon, they are not at risk for their tomb being reset and then all their stuff vanishing, right? Because that was something that could happen on Path of Magic before. And that's just, oh, it's so cool how EWP just allows us to do all that stuff, you know? It's like, you really can rework pretty much any mechanic you can imagine, right? So
Yeah.
let me take a moment here and read some of these comments. So they were talking about how you got 9 byte into Infinity Hammer. You want to talk about that a bit?
Um, I don't know if I did. I think he was I think he was using Infinity Hammer before, but I definitely showed him like more of its features and um sort of sent him down that path. Which has been really fun. But more recently I've gotten him into Gizmo. Um so throughout like excluding the update we're about to release, if you go through the adventure map, you can kind of tell who built what, because if something is Gizmoed, I built it, and if it's not, 9 built it. But now he's using Gizmo as well, so like now you won't even be able to tell that. And yeah, that has been really fun for me watching him start using that and seeing his different ideas. And there's so many times where I will then like show him a little trick and he's like, "Oh, that's how you built this? You son of a gun."
Yeah, he recognizes it. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he was already using Infinity Hammer, but you gave him the EWP bug, it sounds like. Or he's starting to sniffle.
Yeah, I keep showing him like little bits of stuff that I've done and little clips here and there and showing like, oh, you know how we can't do this in the adventure map? Like, look how easy it is. It's like 5 lines of script. And yeah, so he definitely has some of what you were saying earlier, that like having been through all those restrictions and experienced those roadblocks, it's very exciting to be like, oh, we can do this, and then that can trigger this, and then this happens to the player. I think he'll take to it like a fish to water.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I I'm already excited to see what Heim Divers and these things how people will react to them. But I can only imagine, like, if 9 byte and you work on something and it's like an EWP related project, like, oh, that's going to be crazy. So Zeal had a question. What's the plan for Heim Diver release? Is it the same as the RPG, or will it be server hosted?
Both is my current plan. So I want to run a server, um, but I will also just release it so that people can host their own servers. Um, yeah, I want to be able to have a server so that people who like aren't familiar and aren't comfortable setting everything up, they have somewhere to come and try and experience it. But with only 10 player slots, it's probably not going to be enough to accommodate everyone. So yeah, I'd also like to make it available for people to host their own.
And so if I remember right, Heim Divers is expand world prefabs and like expand world data, right? So it can generate it generates its own world to play on. It's not like you download the Heim Divers map. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So you can, like you would with a normal world, you just type in a name and press start, and it will generate like a brand new world for you. Um, which is some like the complete opposite end of the spectrum from the RPG map. So that was fun to explore. Like, oh, how does it work the other way?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the challenges of getting locations to spawn correctly and how you would like them, and having to generate a bunch of different maps to see all the different sort of conditions that the location can spawn in and make small changes, slowly tweak things over time. Yeah, it's been a long but fun project and a learning experience.
So I guess really that's like I'd say that's the actual superpower of EWP is that it it isn't something that is limited to just one setup. It can be redone on new worlds or even put on top of existing worlds. And for me, that is something that I've been really excited about because I believe that there's a lot of people who have Valheim worlds that they have like attachment to, but they got kind of bored, right? And so I have a feeling that if we can make systems that allow players to just kind of plop some new rules on their old world, that it might help reactivate some of the people who, they have a world they like, but they just kind of got bored with it, and it's kind of unusual for people to go back into a world and continue where they left off after they've stopped for a long time. Not always, obviously, especially for builders. But as far as I know, like if you're talking about regular Valheim players, that's kind of how it goes. So one second,
Yeah.
go on.
I certainly remember when I played vanilla, I definitely had a feeling of I've built a big cool castle, but there's nothing to defend from. That kind of feeling.
Yeah,
And I think that's a common thing. Like people get to the end, they've achieved their goals, they've built their cool base, but it's like there's nothing to do with it. There's no challenge. Like I suppose raids are almost supposed to fulfill that function, but they're not appropriate for that task almost. Like they get defeated by a small earthen trench rather than like a cool wall.
yeah. It's like the way I look at it is raids are non-consensual, and that's kind of a problem. I think there's actually a mod. It's called Fortress or something like that, and I might be wrong. I haven't played it, but my understanding is like you as the player have more control over when the attacks happen, and then there's like an incentive to beat it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So, wait, why did it work that time? That's funny. Anyway, sorry. So basically, the players they they get more. It's like the gameplay loop for the building to actually feel real. It needs to have preparation where then the player can know when the attack's going to happen to prepare for it. That I think that's kind of the thing that's missing with the raids, because the raids are so kind of random and sporadic that it's very hard for the player to know when it's going to happen. And they're also not very, how do I put it, equal. For example, like there's the Grey Dwarf raids, there's the, all the skeleton raids, all these things. These aren't very destructive raids, but they're dangerous to you as the player. They might kill you. But then you get one ground is shaking raid, and it's literally like an earthquake could hit your base. You could lose your spawn point, your entire base, if you don't react very quickly. And I think you're right that that's what Iron Gate was going for with the raid system. But in practice, I'm not sure it really works at all. And that's why on Palm, raids are disabled. I haven't had anyone ever tell me why are raids disabled. No one's even been like, hey, I noticed I haven't gotten any raids. Why is that? Like, nobody has said that. And granted, I give them an alternative so they can summon raids by putting trophies on item stands, right? But that isn't an automatic thing. So, like, you can build in Path of Magic, and you don't have to worry about a troll raid. It's just not going to happen unless you put a troll trophy on an item rack. And then it will happen, right? But that's the thing, like, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is about. It's about consent. And for things to really work, like you've described, to be able to build a castle and it be attacked and feel good, the player needs to be able to anticipate that attack coming and prepare exactly for it. Almost like they need to press the start invasion button. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So welcome.
Well, with EWP, you can set something up like that,
Yeah, I mean, it's all completely possible. So Jürgen Dweevman, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but he said, "Is this two old men walking?" I don't know if we're old men. Maybe we're mid-age crisis men. I don't know, but pretty much, just so you know, Jurg, the visuals and stuff, we're just kind of walking down this path. That's going to be the whole thing. This is more of a discussion between Dhakhar and I about making these custom world projects. Dakhar's made a lot of really cool stuff and is working on this Heim Divers project, which I'm about to start asking more questions about. And I work on this public server called Path of Magic. It's what we're walking through right now. That's why all this crazy stuff's happening. You see these messages on the screen, etc., etc. But I'm also working on a version of this server that is like Dakhar's project. Something you can put on any world. You can make a new world with stuff anywhere, a different generation, and still play the modified version of Valheim. And that's really the powerful thing. I think once the mainstream sort of masses of Valheim players have started to taste more of these EWP projects, I'm pretty sure it'll get more common. Just because it's like, it really does allow you to just fix anything. You can do any problem you have with Valheim, except like the networking. I mean, you can script your way around it. You know what I mean? It's quite impressive.
Yeah, I do hope that it does become more popular and people see how easy it can be to just change one or two things. Like, oh, I wish chests just had one more line of storage,
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
Honestly, man, I think Heim Divers is going to be part of that. I'm not saying that it's going to get some crazy super popular thing or make a whole bunch of people come back, but especially if you put it on R2 and people can just search and click and play. I've already done some placeholder tests. I know I told you about this, Dak, but I'll tell the others. So basically, we discovered a couple months ago that you can put EWP scripts onto Thunderstore as a mod pack, and then a player can search in R2 and one-click install your script without even knowing what EWP is. And this is a completely untapped market. And I didn't realize this before, But there are a lot of people who play Valheim who search Thunderstore for the latest mods and search R2 for what's available for them to customize. And I know that because I put a couple scripts up on Thunderstore just as a test without telling anybody. I did two. One was as a placeholder. I wanted to see, okay, if we have something not useful, how often is it being scraped by data services or maybe the Thunderstore website itself because they're updating things, etc., 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 right? So what I found is that had maybe like, I don't know, 100 downloads or 200 downloads. So we can assume that that's the scraping, right? But that was just the, what's it called? When you do a project, the control. That's right. That was the control. Additionally, I added Raka's script to make it so when you die, your tombstone is automatically looted, right? And in doing that, that script, without me telling anybody about it, that has a practical purpose, right? From the player's perspective, it's a mod that makes you auto loot your tombstone when you die and wake up with your stuff, right? That's just a mod from their perspective.
Yeah.
That mod pack has like 1,100 downloads without me telling a single person about it on YouTube or advertising. So I'm very confident that there is an untapped market of Valheim players who can try EWP for the first time without even realizing that they're doing it. And I believe that projects like Heim Divers and like Enigma are going to be key here. Because right now, if you search for EWP in Thunderstore, like, no one's done this yet. People don't realize this is possible. So I think we can be like that initial wave that gets people to be like, all right, here's what's possible, and it's way easier than the other stuff. I don't know how you feel about this, Dhakhar, but for me, EWP scripting is easier than doing all the crazy voodoo you do with Infinity Hammer and World Edit commands on the adventure map. I feel like that stuff is more, you really have to like know the weird tricks to do. Whereas when you do EWP, it's simpler. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. You pretty much nailed it. To do some of the things we've done in the adventure map, you would kind of have to like, I would have to visually explain like why this is doing this and this and this. Whereas EWP, like once you've read a bit of the guide and read through some other scripts, it's very like human readable and human understandable. The other main like drawback with the adventure map style is if you want to make any change, you've kind of got to load into the map and go and physically change it. Whereas doing EWP,
God!
Open the text document.
Oh,
and,
God! I just realized what that means.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel you, man. I feel for you, man. I didn't even think about that. That means every time you want to adjust something, you have to load the client.
Yeah, I have to open the map, go to where the problem is, like find whatever object it is, change it. So yeah, like any of the things that we created early on that now have like better techniques of doing, we've had to manually find and change. So the invisibility was one of the main ones with that. Also, like when we started, some of the stuff was built with like the old infinite health, like health 1e30, compared to the -1/-1 health we use now. So all of that had to be manually changed. Some of which upgrade world was very, very useful for being able to just target all objects of
Yeah,
a
bulk
type.
edit commands.
Yeah, but for doing things like adjusting loot in chests, we kind of just have a mental record of where all the different loot is. Yeah, it's
Time
it's
consuming.
tricky. Yeah, and it also means like a couple of times we've thought like, oh, it's so like, could we bring someone else into the project, to like help us with certain stuff and that? But there's so much we would have to catch them up on,
Yeah.
and things that we probably don't even consciously think about, that we're just like, oh yeah, this is how that bit works, and this is where this is, and yeah. Um, it's not an efficient way of doing it, the RPG map, let's say. If you were ever thinking about doing that kind of project, I would definitely suggest doing it the EWP way.
Yeah, so just those of you listening understand what he's getting at. Basically, with EWP scripts, you can write them and adjust them without even being present. You don't have to go onto the server. You don't have to load it. You don't even have to have Valheim active. You can literally just open up the scripts, refresh them, boom. And as long as you don't have too many scripts, you can even do it live while people are on the server. You can edit it while they're playing on it, and it won't like destroy everything. It's really really flexible, and for me, that was one of the main reasons I got into EWP. I'm not a person who's able to like. You can probably tell with my way of content creation. Like, there's some people like Dhakhar and 9byte who will work on things for months, and they do a damn incredible professional job, and it looks like perfect, pretty much. I don't do that. I'm like, all right, I'll make this video today. All right, make this thing. Oh, I fucked it up. Okay, let's go. Like, that's how I am. So for me, the fact that I can just read an EWP script, get a little wiggle in my heart, and then adjust it, and then see what happens, and then adjust it. That's like how I develop. I don't even know what I'm doing. I just change something, change something, change something, change something. It really is like a game in that way. And for me, it's like, that's why I think of Valheim as, we're playing Valheim EWP. I think that's what we're doing, right? It's not just normal Valheim.
Yeah,
So let's see.
yeah.
We got a couple other comments here. There's someone on Twitch. Welcome Nova5Ren. He says, "Hi, dude. This game is awesome, dude. How much is it?" I think Valheim is $20 still, right? A one-time payment
Um,
of $20.
let's see. Yeah. I mean, in the sales, it's been as like low as £8, which would probably be like $10, I would guess. Um,
That's crazy.
but yeah, not too expensive,
It's so
and a
cheap.
lot of content you can get out of it.
Thousands of hours for $20. That's funny.
Thousands.
Yeah, and so just in case they're asking about the server, all the server things we're talking about are free to play. So like none of the stuff we're talking about is something you have to pay for. You just have your base copy of Valheim that you paid for, and then you can do all this stuff. You don't need to pay for anything. This is true for Dax projects, 9bytes projects, and also my projects. None of them are paid. As far as I know, you're not even like Iron Gate doesn't want people to charge money for mods or anything. So just to be clear there, because Nova asked about it. And so, all right, Zeal had a good question. So Zeal says, okay, from the EWP perspective, what is the number one problem in vanilla Valheim to address? You want to go first?
Oh, wow. I would definitely not be the best person to ask, because it's been many thousands of hours since I struggled with vanilla Valheim. And I mean, trying to solve those problems was really what started me on this journey of how I found Infinity Hammer. The problem was not being able to like flatten ground efficiently enough, and trying to remove rocks and trees from a large area, to do a big build. I was just like, this takes way too much time every time. Like, there must be a quicker way to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a lot of things that come to mind would be building focused, but let me think of more about the game structure. Um, I mean, resetting of things seems like an obvious one, but potentially EWP wouldn't be the first thing you would turn to solve that. Um, I mean, the real power of EWP is being able to make the changes that you think need to be made, you know, and some of the ones you've shown off before in videos, like removing death skeetos. You know, some people just hate death skeetos. Remove them from the game. Like
Yeah.
4 lines of script. Um, yeah, and if people want to make those changes, they for sure can.
Oh, that's a good point. We should make that clear, actually. I'll interrupt you for a moment. So, if there's anything in Valheim you want to just get rid of entirely, that is incredibly easy with EWP. You could do that without knowing any scripting because it's like the same 4 lines or less for everything. So that's a great point, actually, about like how, yeah, I made a video about removing Death Skeeto, but there's plenty of things that people like. They like Valheim, but there's just this one thing they just personally don't like. They really dislike it, right? So, like, I know some people, for example, don't like the ground is shaking raid, and you can remove events from the game as well. It's a little bit more complicated, but you can make it so you have all the normal raids, you just never have the ground is shaking. You can do this kind of stuff with EWP. It really does give you that level of control over the Valheim experience. And even if you don't want to like make a server for other people, if you just want to have more fun in your own single player stuff, it's a great way for you to just experiment and try things. And as Fire mentioned earlier, EWP allows you to mess with mods without really knowing what, like, how to program the mod, if that makes sense. Because the mods add these assets and other prefabs, and then you can use EWP to adjust them and tweak them and like mix the mods together a little bit. So EWP really is that enabler. It gives that flexibility that a lot of people feel is missing from Valheim.
One thing I often see with public Valheim servers is they're running like 120 different mods, and inevitably you come across problems with mod conflicts, and certain people can't join, and then this mod gets updated and it invalidates this other one. There are all kinds of spiraling problems. And you look at it and like EWP could do probably a half of those, you know, cut down the amount of mods needed for people to download and have much more control over how those mods function, tweak them to how you want, add different features, instead of having to bug a mod developer and wait for an update. You could do it yourself in half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And so Tim and Kit are saying how altering the world without players or PC players having to deal with the mod packs. This is by far the #1 allure to EWP as a server admin, in my opinion. You're adding content without actually adding content. And that is a great point because there's so many times, like I've been managing a public server for a year and a half when Path to Ashland's first launched. And there are a lot of things that you don't need to bother the players about to fix because of EWP. But if it wasn't for EWP, you would have to then communicate with your players, get them to try a mod. And I don't know about other people, but when I tell people to do 3 things, they do like half of the second thing I tell them. And then like people just don't really listen. Right? I'm not saying everyone's like that, but it's normal, you know, and managing them is troublesome.
I did it to you yesterday. You asked me for a specific type of screenshot. I read half the message and sent you a different type of screenshot. So, like, there's a perfect example.
No, it worked, though, because your screenshots allowed me to make a better thumbnail than the thing I originally had in mind. So it worked out. It worked out. But it's true, though, and obviously I do that as well. Everyone, like, thinks they understand something before they've fully read, you know?
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with others that that's, like, as a manager for a server, it's huge. That's really what allows that level of control. And also, it also allows you to like gamify and mess with your players in a whole new way because they don't know. They have no idea that the script is on the server. They can't even see how many scripts are on the server. They literally, it's invisible to them. There's no way for them to know. So like as far as
Yeah.
they know, they could be playing completely vanilla Valheim. They've never installed any mods. Yet you have a completely crazy modded server that's modded to all hell, right? I mean, I guess that's what Palm is, right? Like, this is a vanilla server, technically. But if I tell people it's vanilla, they're like, what's wrong with you? That's not vanilla. You're full of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a tricky one because yeah, we're using vanilla in the context of you can join this without downloading anything. Um, and a lot of people just view it as like the game straight up as it was intended kind of thing.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, certainly the advantage for server owners being able to make changes without having to update mod packs and just the ease at which people can connect to and use the server is yeah such a huge advantage.
So I'll read a couple of these comments and then let's transition over and I'll start asking you about Heim Divers. So
Okay.
Tim mentions that he's getting PTSD from you mentioning managing mod packs with 100 something, 100 something
Yeah,
mods.
yeah.
Yeah, every update, it's like you spend like 2 weeks trying to figure out what you need to get rid of to get the server to boot again. Like,
And like 5 mods in the mod pack shouldn't be updated, and people always ask like, "Shall I update these mods?" You know, it's all of
yeah.
these problems you have to go through.
So Kit Fury says the resource respawns are great also for new players on the server. So many people won't
Yeah.
join or stop if there's a group ahead of them because they know that the resources are already gone. And that is
Mm.
a great point, to be honest, a great point. Because when I first played on Valheim, the reason I got super into it was because I actually played with my World of Warcraft Classic guild. They got me into it. And I found like, oh, fuck, I don't want to raid anymore. I just want to play Valheim. Like, what am I doing? Why am I playing WoW? Like, what is this? Right? And
Mhm.
basically, it was a server, but I started a little bit later, and I remember getting to the point where I needed silver. And like, holy shit, I went to so many mountains and there was nothing because I was like the sixth or seventh person to get to the silver progression point. And it's exactly like they're saying. It's like you no longer have what you need to actually progress through the world, you know? That's always been sort of my gripe is that the world's temporary, which is kind of sad because it's about building, you know?
Yeah,
And in that way,
yeah,
it's very similar to that mistake that Blizzard has made just in general, where every time they have an expansion, it completely invalidates everything you've done. So you learn as a WoW player that nothing you do really matters. If you stop playing today and come back in a year, it's irrelevant what you did. It's like all of your time is deleted. And I think that's a big problem. And you can argue about WoW and whether that's necessary or not, whatever. But in Valheim, a game that really is a building game, that's a big problem. But that's a tangent. I don't want to go too much down into that. I want to address this thing real quick. So One Chance is here. Welcome, One Chance. Hello, hello. I'm here with Dhakhar. We're talking about our custom EWP worlds. Hope all is well. Feel free to ask us any questions if you want to learn about what's going on, etc. And if you ever want to try out the server that you see behind us, this is a public free-to-play server that anybody can join, no mods required. So if you want to check that out, you can find the information you need at my YouTube channel. And also, welcome Charles Bronson. Hello, hello. Charles Bronson says, materials like those Ashland's gems are very rare with more players. Yeah, I love those gems. That's actually one of the things I've done on Palm. But now let's move forward because I definitely want to ask Dhakhar about Heim Divers. So, do you want to start by like, when did that start? Because okay, you like Hell Divers too, right? I'm assuming that's when it started. You played
yeah.
that game.
Yeah. So as I was first getting into EWP, was when Heim Divers first came out, and I'd been playing a lot of it with a group of friends, so it was fresh in the mind, and I just started to get into EWP, mainly thanks to yourself and Rakar. And so after I'd sort of done the first two scripts, and okay, like I kind of see how this is working now. The first instinct I had was, okay, well, let me do something that I kind of already have some experience with from doing my different animations, like the Top Gun video. I know how to like spawn things in sequence to make something do an animation. So I was like, okay, let me do this. And because I'd been playing Helldivers, I was like, okay, let me just trigger from a smoke bomb throwing some explosion, like a Helldivers call-in. So that became my first like mini project. And then, as usually happens, I got carried away, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember actually back then because you would share more things, and they were almost always like crazy weapons. Like you would do a
Yeah.
cooldown or something, and then like it would be like a beacon shows up and it starts pulsing, and then like a bunch of missiles and laser beams show up and everything explodes and it's all crazy and it's just like holy crap.
Yeah. I think because I didn't, I was trying to figure out EWP. I didn't really have um, an idea in mind of something I wanted to do. Helldivers just became my like, well, how far can I push this thing? How much of Helldivers could I copy if I wanted to? And the further I went, the more and more obstacles that I faced kind of fell away. I was like, okay, oh, I can do this part. I can achieve this part of the game, and I can replicate that. It's just like, well, hang on, like I can pretty much do the whole game here. And so yeah, that became my EWP project.
I got the impression that at some point something changed for you and you went from just making like different attacks and stuff to actually being like, okay, how do I make this a game? Because like for those of you who haven't seen the Heim Divers thing, it's crazy. Like there's this mothership. It's insane, like absolutely insane. And you can like press buttons and stuff in the ship and then like teleport to places and do stuff. And like there's a console. He made like computers. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. So when did that change, do you think? When did you go
I think
from
Yeah, I think I just hit like a certain level of comfortability because you're right. The first things I made were all cooldowns where Rakar had helped me make the sort of first version of smoke bomb throw triggers something. And of course, that used pokes, which were mysterious voodoo magic to me at the time. Um, and so really all I was doing was copy pasting and then changing some different things. And there were some challenges in there, like the difference between making something that just blows up, which is fairly easy to do, and now, okay, well, how do I make like a cloud of gas that is going to damage people when they walk into it?
yeah,
So,
like a poison
there's
cloud?
a yeah, so there's a little extra challenge to do, and I kind of went through a few of these and figured more and more things out. I was like, okay, I kind of understand how like some of these more complicated systems work, and I think I've got poke figured out. And I think the next thing I did do was starting to work on the carrier. So the building part of it was all very familiar, and then I started adding the little buttons and interactables, um, and getting my feet wet there. So I think that helped break away from some structure that Rakar had like given me to making something completely by myself. So that helps gain a lot of confidence. And then I think it's when I built the first computer system that ended up being like a super complicated long script where I just learned so many lessons. And at that point I was like, okay, I think I've got a handle on it now. And it is something we've definitely talked about before is like you kind of figure out pokes and then you figure out pars, and once you kind of overcome those two understanding hurdles, it's like, okay, I kind of see how everything fits together now, see how all the jigsaw um, works with every different piece.
Yeah, I'd say that what you just described, talking to another person in the beginning, telling them your idea, getting a script, which you then start to mess with and copy paste bits from, I think that's the best way to start. People have this notion that you have to like study all the scripture and figure out all of the rules and learn everything, but like realistically, at least I don't know, maybe that works for some people, but you only need to learn like, I mean, realistically, you don't even need to know pokes to get started. Pokes are a little bit more complicated, right? Because they actually have two sections of script interacting with each other. So that's like a whole new layer of abstraction compared to just like, when this is spawned, do this. When this is destroyed, do that. So I think that when people start, usually it's easier to understand type create and type destroy. Those are like the bare bones, simplest events in EWP, where anytime the game organically makes something, you can react to it. So if a skeleton shows up and you want to make it so it gets upgraded to something else, you can do that. That's the power of EWP. And so One Chance has been saying, awesome, remarkable information. I'm clueless about it all. I'm illiterate in that field of interest. And that's why you're here, my friend. Most of us, up until very recently, were illiterate about EWP. Most Valheimers have no idea it's even possible. And I'm hoping that this is the key. It's going to be what allows us to show Iron Gate how awesome their game is, how beautiful it is. I have this pipe dream in my head. I know this is absurd, but I'm going to share it anyway. I like to believe that someday somebody's going to make a vanilla EWP project and it will become more popular than their actual biome release. Because I feel like if that were to happen, it would show them, hey, look, there's all these awesome things in the game. You don't need to add more. You just need to change how you allow the players to use what you've already put in the game. You know? I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's a nice theory.
It would be like the Counter-Strike to Half-Life.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's see. Tim Wynn said, Pokes defeated me. Period. I lean on Valheim World Editing Discord. Folks there are amazingly helpful. Shout out to everyone in there that helped. Yeah, you're very right. I mean, that group is crazy. Like, literally, I know about scripting because Dhakhar and Raka and Valheim World Editing taught me. Like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to learn as fast as I did. I wouldn't have been able to make Enigma or Palm. Like, absolutely no way. And for me, like, that's one of the reasons I like talking so much about Valheim World Editing and getting people to go there. Because, I don't know how you guys are doing in your real life or what you think about what's going on in the world and everything, but I don't see people working together or treating each other well very often. I see people competing and fighting and being aggressive with each other and thinking they're the best and getting egotistical and prideful. And Valheim World Editing, you show them a problem, they try and fix it. It's not even about like being the best, and it's so therapeutic for me personally. Like, I felt like I wasn't part of something before, even though I was playing Valheim. Maybe I had some friends to play with. I don't know. I didn't feel like I was part of a community in Valheim. I didn't feel like I was part of the Valheim community. Even when I made tutorials and people knew about me, I still didn't really feel like I was a part of the Valheim community. I was just someone who made some videos on YouTube. A few people saw them, but so what? You know? But now, like, I mean, Dhakhar, meeting people like you and Raka, I'm very happy now. I feel completely fulfilled in my life. I don't need anything more because I enjoy so much this way of just talking with other people who love this game and they have passion. And I don't know, like I don't need anything else in life. And it's so weird to go from feeling lonely and feeling like nobody understands or is like you to feeling like you're part of a community of people who love Valheim and game design and scripting.
Mhm.
And how
Yeah.
has that been for you? Like, what has that experience been like?
I mean, I probably have something of a similar experience. I was playing Valheim for hundreds or maybe even thousands of hours before I got involved with any community stuff. And it was only really because one of my real life friends was like, "Oh, you should post a video of that build you made," you know. And it was only after then that I, got more involved in communities and started meeting different people, and that's eventually how I met Ninebite, and the story goes on from there. But yeah, it's certainly. I would encourage anyone listening who's just a lurker, like get involved, join a server, join a community, meet people. Like 99.9% of people in this community are just super friendly, super helpful. And I think certainly with the EWP and scripting things, the most similar thing I can compare it to is when I used to play a lot of the Battlefield games, Battlefield 3, 4, 5, 1, 6, they would often have these huge Easter egg hunts spread across multiple maps where there'll be like a beacon that's pulsing with Morse code, and this tells you a word, and then in some other map you can find that word etched onto a wall, and if you shoot it, it opens a door, and you go through this huge Easter egg hunt, and the community like really comes together. Everyone's trying to solve it, like coming up with different ideas, trying to help each other with their own theories and stuff. And yeah, the EWP thing is the kind of closest thing I can think of to that, where everyone's kind of trying to put their brains together to solve common problems.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. That group, honestly, I mean, thanks to everybody who's involved with that. I mean, me personally, like I know sometimes if you listen to my YouTube content, I might talk about the fact that like I've been able to do this for a while because I don't need much money in life, but at the same time, if I don't earn like $200 more a month, I won't be able to keep full time on Valheim like I am. But even so, I'm so happy. Like it's shown me that I don't need much in life. I don't need fanciness. I don't need some big house or car or anything like that. I need to feel like I'm part of something and that I can be useful to people, and that's it. That's all I need to be as happy as I can be. And I didn't know that. And it wasn't until Valheim and DWP and the community and Yer and Raka and you, like, it goes past Valheim, Dakar. Because for me, like I'm into this stuff because I want to design games. That is my absolute intention. Even one of the reasons I'm doing this now is so I can put myself in a position in a decade or 2 decades where I'm well connected. I know a lot of people who love video games. They like the style that I've done, etc., etc., etc. It's like a networking situation to leverage myself into a position to develop video games in the future. But I had it all kind of wrong before. I believed that the games were it was about the game. But what this has shown me, what Valheim has shown me, is the game is just an excuse. The game is an excuse to meet and interact with like-minded people. People who share your
Hmm.
passions. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so is that something you've experienced in other games? Because I know you played Satisfactory, right? You played other building games, right?
Yeah, I played Satisfactory, I played Space Engineers, but yeah, I would say Valheim is probably the first community I've gotten like really involved in. Like way, way back in the day, I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike, and I was involved in that community, but that's going way back. But yeah, even the other building games, I wouldn't like post my stuff, I just look at other people's, and yeah, I was probably missing out on a lot of opportunities and meeting different people and learning a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, Valheim for me is like it's very refreshing and comfortable. A lot of the other games I like to play are like stressful or competitive or whatever, and Valheim is just not like that at all. It's super fun and chill.
Yeah, chill's a good way to put it. It's like it enables you to kind of play how you want to play, you know? Like I'm a person who I really like Dark Souls. I like combat and that kind of thing. So when I first played Valheim, like I mean I'm not like a fancy professional talented builder. I can make things that are interesting. Now I'm aware of how to make a build, go about it, plan it, add some aesthetics, work on the silhouette, like you mentioned. But I definitely, when I started, I was one of those people who just made like crazy huts and did the absolute minimum to get a rested buff and just focused on kind of fighting. It wasn't until like, I'd say my fourth Valheim playthrough that I actually started getting into building. And then it wasn't even until I actually started managing the server that then it's like, okay, I need to now actually make buildings for certain things that people need. So that's when it changed, and then I got more practice building things because you often, need to build something to put it on your server, right? And that's what opened my mind a bit to like I feel like people like you've kind of gotten into the building from pretty early on, so you figured out like, okay, this is the thing that Valheim really shines with, right? But I'd say that
Yeah.
the average player, they don't. There's something missing, if that makes sense. Like the Valheim doesn't get you to start building. And what's funny is I mentioned earlier, I'll just go on this one tangent, and then I'll ask Dhakhar about his opinion on this. But I mentioned earlier how in my first, I think, 4 playthroughs, I barely even built at all. I didn't do any of that stuff pretty much. I would just try and progress, fight, play with some friends a bit, and get bored, go do something else. But then I played Dragon Quest Builders 2, a kid's game. I don't know why I played it. I have no idea. If you've ever played that game, it is essentially Minecraft, but in the Dragon Quest universe made for children. So it's like one of those kind of block games. I don't know what those are called. Voxel? A voxel-based game, that's right. And the thing that's so crazy about it, it's not prettier, it's not just better for some other reason. It teaches you how to build. And I was fucking floored by that game because when I played Valheim before playing Dragon Quest Builders 2, I was not a builder. But then I did the storyline in Dragon Quest Builders 2, and it's constantly like, everybody's a builder. You're a builder deep down inside. You just have to believe in yourself. Anybody can build. And the whole storyline for the first third of the game is about empowering you to build. And after I had that experience, I came back to Valheim as a builder. And ever since then, I've wondered what Valheim would be like if the game had more reasons to get players building, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
That's really interesting. I'm curious, how did it sort of tutorialize building in some way? Because I'm thinking that's one thing with Valheim. You get your hammer and a bird comes along and says you can build and flatten the ground and whatever, but there's never really any instruction. It's mostly like negative reinforcement, like you need more space for this workbench, you need a roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in Dragon Quest, it's like the storyline itself is about building. It'll be like, hey, yo, there's this evil guy who's gonna attack. You need to build a castle and defend us, but it needs to be this size. It needs this part. It needs this thing. It needs to be this color. You need to have this many components. Figure it out. As soon as you're ready, you're going to get invaded and all these people are going to attack you and a bunch of stuff's going to get destroyed. And as soon as you finish the mission, pow, it just magically all comes back to how it was before they destroyed everything. And that's the basics of each level in Dragon Quest Builders.
I think there are pros and cons to having something like a building tutorial in Valheim. There's a short I've seen where the streamer Shroud, most people are probably familiar with him. He's talking about the game Tarkov. Oh, I'm dead.
How did you die?
Deathsquito found me.
I didn't even see it. It didn't even load it. I just saw you vanish.
So he's talking about Tarkov, and he's talking about how in that game it gives you like no information. You know, you pick up a pack of cigarettes, and it doesn't tell you what they do. It doesn't tell you what they're worth. And part of the appeal of the game is that you learn what they do, and you learn what they're worth, and this kind of thing. And there are other more modern games that have come along.
Let's go up one of these paths, just so we're not doing the same thing. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No worries. Other games have tried to replicate Tarkov, and they give you more UI, they give you more tooltips, but they're just not as engaging for people. There is an innate quality of learning and figuring out what something is and what it does and how it works that people like. And he refers to it in the short as friction. You know, like certain games have a lot of friction to coming in and learning them, whatever, but that friction like keeps people around. I thought it was quite an elegant way to describe it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think that's true, that how, like, there's a way to do things, right? And a way to expose people to stuff. And if you're too direct, it does take away that joy of learning things. And that's actually something I learned about Path of Magic. I've added so many mechanics to this server, you can't learn all of them. Like, players don't know all of them. I don't even remember all of them. And what I found is that alone creates this whole new skill system where it's about you learning how to use the mechanics that you learn about. And just like you're saying, it adds this depth. Because once you learn a mechanic, every character you play on can access that mechanic. You know, you can develop in that style. But I'll get at what Dragon Quest Builders did more of. I'll try and convert it to something in Valheim. So it's not about like, oh, hey, here's a build piece. You can do this. You can do that. It's about putting the player in a circumstance where they have a reason to build a nice base or a fort. So in my head, the chance to do that is with the boss fights. And the way it currently works with Valheim is that there is... Oh, wow, I didn't know this path goes right over here. That's funny. There's a boss fight, right? You go over to the altar. You have to get a couple trophies from some random nonsense or whatever. And then you summon it, right? And then you fight it. There's no building. Maybe you build a little hut nearby so you get a rested buff. But what I'm talking about is, like, imagine you couldn't summon the boss unless you built a castle with a minimum of 400 stone wall units. And then you become eligible to summon the boss and everything else is normal. You see what I'm getting at? Like, there's this way to put players in a situation where they have reason to not just build a minimum thing, but like a proper structure, an interesting structure, right? So I've always wondered, what would Valheim be like if it had more of those abstract building lessons, you know? And that kind of does happen on a server. You're kind of like, you know, more incentivized to build so that other people can use something. And especially on a server like Path of Magic, I mean, I know for a fact that, like, Like people like Teens and Star who have been playing on the server fairly regularly for 18 months straight. That's only possible because these people are builders and they know other people are on the server and might use something or see the cool buildings. And like even right now, we're going down these paths and like we passed buildings and structures that were built by other players before. And every time you do that, if that player sees that you saw it, it makes them happy. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. I think it's always going to be difficult to try and set some sort of building goal that won't
Get cheesed.
be. Yeah, won't, like, your 400 stone blocks is people just gonna end up with a square 400 stone block castle, like, because at the moment we have, you've got to build all these comfort items, and you need room for all your workstations and room for the bed and all of this sort of stuff. And yeah, you can very much get away with just building a very minimal house. I think almost the feature that encourages building the most is really venting smoke. Is the one I can think of
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
That's a good point.
um,
And how it goes, not just venting the smoke, but the fires in general. The fact that they make you warm, the fact that stamina is so affected by being wet, the way the rested buff works, that all plays into the dynamic of managing the fire, the chimneys, the rain, the roofs. But if you know that you can just put down a campfire and get an 8-minute rested buff wherever you are in the world and you know what you're doing, you don't need to do any of that.
yeah, it's. Have you played V Rising?
No. I've heard about it, but
Yeah, it has some building, but it's much more like modular. You place like a whole wall section. And in that, there are certain things, build a workshop that's at least 8 tiles kind of thing. And I think it's really it's only able to accomplish those kind of objectives and mini goals because the building is more restricted.
yeah, it's simpler.
I feel like, yeah, I think
It
there's
was the
always going to
same
be
for
some
Dragon Quest.
trade-off.
It is much more simplified
Mm.
than Valheim.
Yeah, I think part of the great thing about Valheimer is there's so much freedom to build how you like. So I would always worry that you're going to lose some of that potentially by um, forcing certain build requirements. But I sympathize very much with your overall point that there is like no reason to build. Um, and that can be a good thing because it lets non-builders play the game. Um, but yeah, I think a more ideal solution would be a way to encourage non-builders to get more familiar with the system. A more comfortable way to approach it. Yeah, it's a tricky one though for sure.
Yeah, the thing for me is I've talked to a lot of players who literally identify as not being a builder. And that was the thing that Dragon Quest builders changed in me. And that's what I'm trying to kind of get at is that it wasn't like Dragon Quest builders taught me how to design aesthetically or it taught me how to like, design things in Valheim or any of that. The thing that it did in me is it made me let go of this notion that I can't build. And that's all I
Okay.
needed. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah. Oh, completely. Yeah. Um, I mean, the first thing I built in Valheim was literally like most other people, like a 6x4 wooden box, completely square. Absolute garbage. So like anyone can be a builder. You just got to start. You know, if every build is better than the last, you just keep building more stuff, and
Yeah.
you'll keep improving. Um, and yeah, just look at what other people have done, and don't necessarily like copy what they did, but like why did they make this choice? Why did they use this piece, or why did they place it here, or how did they achieve this effect? Certainly one of the things that I learned a lot when I played Space Engineers, and I've brought to my Valheim building, is using pieces in ways they weren't intended to, and like clipping pieces into objects to only show the bottom side and like, get a completely different look for something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was that I saw in Space Engineers, but someone had done some build where they'd used a lot of tricks like that, and it really blew my mind and kind of opened up a mental pathway of like, you can use objects in so many more different ways than what they were intended for. Um, yeah, just practice building. Just try. And it doesn't matter if it sucks. Break it down, try again.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like for me, the most fun I have in Valheim is when I'm working on a build, but it's not something that needs to be all big and huge. And like when I first started getting into building in Valheim, I would make that mistake. I would try and I would frame out a huge tower or something, and then it would just be obscenely large, and the project would be so big that I'd lose interest and then feel burned out. And so now I've learned to just make things very small and modularly so that
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going to happen, but like I can finish up this one part and then go get some resources and then add this room and then go get some resources and add that room. And that's the experience I've tried to recreate on Palm. This dynamic of like, I'm going to build for a bit, go get some resources. Build for a bit, go get some resources. I found that in vanilla Valheim, the act of getting resources is very repetitive and boring. And you don't really have access to resources in the way that I would like, if that makes sense. Like for example, if you're a Meadows Black Forest builder who never makes it to the swamp or something, like you're not going to build with Growlstone or Ashwood, even though there's some really, really cool pieces to build with. Like you're just not going to have those experiences. So
Yeah.
it's tricky though, because obviously like I'm kind of acting like everybody needs to build to enjoy Valheim, but I understand that like logically, I mean, I guess that's not true, right? But at the same time, I don't know. Every single person I've talked to who has thousands of hours in the game, I mean, like, I've talked to like one or two people who aren't builders who have thousands of hours, but I mean, even like the Arena World people, it's all about PvP, but like they build PvP arenas and PvP game types, like. So that's why, like, I think that's kind of the thing that's missing. But again, that's just an assumption on my part. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think some people must enjoy not being a builder, and some people enjoy that there are non-builders, That's
Yeah, it has
like,
that dynamic, right? I didn't even think about that.
yeah,
Like when a builder and a
it's like
player
having
work as a
the
team.
archer and the mage and the tank,
Yeah.
like everyone's like limiting themselves in some way, but it's kind of more fun because then you're working as a team.
Yeah, we added a similar system. And I want to ask you some more things about Heim Divers, but I'll tell you about this new system. This was added like 2 or 3 days ago. But basically, I wanted to figure out how to make it so experienced builders had increased default build piece health. So like when someone first builds a wood wall, it has the default health. Let's say it's 400. But then once they're really experienced master builders and they build a wood wall, it has like 4,000 health. It's not invincible, but it's damn stronger. It can take a couple troll hits, you know what I mean? And so thanks to that, I don't remember, well, I don't know if you remember this, but at some point a long time ago, you shared a little script in, I think it was Valheim World Editing, showing like, oh, if someone builds, you could say this thing and then make a little light spawn thing so it blocks it. And I rolled with that and made it so like the server says what you're doing. So like if you're building, it'll say you're building. If you're fighting with a sword,
Yeah.
it'll say that. If you're sailing, it says you're sailing, etc. And I realized like, oh, now I can just count. I can just make the server count how many times the player has triggered each action. And then I can make it so, okay, once they've triggered that building thing, that building message, 10 or 20 times. That means they've built a couple bases. That all of their build pieces now have triple health by default because they're now a journeyman builder.
That's cool.
And those kind of systems are like, it leans into what you're saying, where the person, it gives them like a class system, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's look at the chat here real quick. I haven't mentioned anything from them. So they've been chatting a little bit. I'll look at the bottom ones. One Chance says, I love it all. Building, and another big one is exploring. Like an adventure journey to discover new things. Valheim is limited, and I can't hold that against them. They did such a good job. The countless hours that goes into their game. But I would love it if they would allow someone to take up the banner to nearly a limitless world in Valheim of new discoveries. I know it has to end at some point, but it would be great if it got slightly past ridiculous in finding new useful items from build pieces to paints and pictures and wall textures and decorations and food and animals. So I think I understand what you're saying, One Chance. So basically you're suggesting that if the Valheim world was bigger and you could like unlock build pieces by going out into it and exploring and finding them, that you would enjoy that more? Maybe you can confirm if that's what you're saying. What do you think, Dhakhar?
It reminded me of something from Satisfactory, where you initially unlock a recipe for something, but then out when you're exploring, you can find like the improved recipe, which maybe uses like different ingredients but less of them, or something along those lines.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a really cool thing that like gives you something to hunt for. That would be really cool if you could maybe only unlock certain build pieces from like finding a frost cave of a certain type or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically the idea. Well, no, it is the idea with the coin traders. That's why, I mean, you Dhakhar, you understand how overboard I went with those rewards. I don't. The other people can't really grasp that because I just say a number. They don't understand what it means to have all that data and everything. But the reason I was motivated to do that is because of exactly what One Chance is describing. The Valheim world itself is very beautiful in the way that a picture or a painting is beautiful, but not in the way that a video is beautiful, if that makes sense. Like there's this lack of interior, almost this lack of reason to go out because you recognize the patterns, right? And there's not much reason once you found a big plains island or plains area and you've done all the goblin stuff, it's not much reason to find another one, right? But if you could find these, little guys that give you something completely different, well, maybe it's different, right? And so that's the idea with the coin traders. It's like you can find coin traders that make it so the next obliterator you make is a special obliterator called an alchemizer. And so there's like 4 different alchemizers, and they make only one item. So there's a black marble alchemizer, there's a wood alchemizer, there's a grouston alchemizer, and it's very simple. It's just like an obliterator that makes coal from all items in the game, except instead of making coal, it makes grouston. So if you like building with grouston, you now have an almost infinite source of grouston that you can convert from any item you find. Bone fragments, feathers, whatever it is, you can convert to grouston. That's a very powerful thing compared to just like, okay, here's a treasure chest, it's got a level 4 iron sword. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key to make the world feel as beautiful as it is. Because the Valheim world is damn beautiful. I love it. I don't really agree with people who say it has bad whatever. Like, it's beautiful. Really good colors, good art schemes, great music. It's just a matter of figuring out, how do we add more reasons for people to go around. And I think the key to that is to understand that people need to believe that the unexpected is possible. The moment they feel as if they know exactly what's going to happen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like a lot of the game's allure of playing like vanilla disappeared for me once I kind of fully understood what all the biomes could do, you know?
Yeah.
It's like why do I want to go up to the top of that mountain? Like I've seen everything that mountains can do. I have no real reason to go up there and explore, you know?
Yeah.
Um yeah, I agree. Bring back some more of that mystery would be really cool.
So there's something on Palm that happened with the dungeons that really, really inspired me. And in Valheim, when I would play before, I wouldn't really play that much of the burial chambers. I didn't realize how like fun the actual dungeon generation of the burial chambers and the dungeons in Valheim is quite good. The problem isn't that the dungeon generation's bad, it's that there's just no reason to keep going and keep exploring them. Right? And so what we did on Palm is we made it so every dungeon is a source of all the building materials in the game. So if you want to build a base, all you need is a goblin camp nearby, or a frost cave nearby, or a burial chamber nearby, or a sunken crypt. And then you can get all of the resources that you need by continuously raiding that dungeon, exploring it, resetting it, looting it, resetting it, looting it. That for me personally,
Hitting a rock.
Go on. I didn't hear you.
It's probably more fun. It's probably more fun to do that than just hit a rock.
Yeah, exactly. And that for me, that's one of the changes that I made on Palm. That when I actually played it, I loved it. And like when I played on LabRat, I was live streaming a bunch. Most of that playthrough was me just doing burial chambers. And I genuinely enjoyed it. And what shocked me is I didn't know that the burial chambers had these bigger rooms. I didn't know about these vanilla things that can happen in burial chambers. I had no idea about. I'd never seen them because I got 10 Surtling cores. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's like, what? So, yeah, and like Tim Wynn says, swamps with Surtling cores or Surtlings that drop endless cores as long as you have a hoe. Yeah. And then like, why are you going to go in a burial chamber anymore? Exactly. And you know, not even that. Why do you even need unlimited Surtling cores? Like, you only need Surtling cores when you build a new base. That's it. It's not a fuel for something.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there's no attrition, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that, like, for me, to get to Zeal's question that he asked a while ago about, like, what the number one thing that's wrong with vanilla Valheim that you can address with EWP, it's a lack of attrition. Pretty much everything in Valheim is a get it once and then you have it forever deal. And that may sound nice, but it creates this linear ramp. And once you get to the top of that ramp, you just fall off. There's no reason. Once you get the Surtling cores and you've made the things, there's no reason to get any more unless you make another base, right? And only some players are able to self-motivate like that. Once you get the black cores and some Diverger extractors, you don't need any more. And so many parts of Valheim function that way. And that's mostly what Palm started as, was just looking at all of these items that are useless or are only useful once or accumulate and players get loads of, and asking, how can we make this part of a gameplay loop? How can we make it so players have reason, right? And so that's a great thing with EWP. People, like, for example, people have come up with other ways to use Surtling cores. You can throw a Surtling core in a fire and it fully fuels the fire. Boom, easy. Now there's uses for Surtling cores. You know, it's not that complicated. And that's the thing with Valheim. It's an incredible game. The problem is how its pieces interact with each other. So if you can get those pieces and reorganize them, it just makes this lasting feeling so much longer.
Mm-hmm.
What are these treasure chests doing here?
Someone trying to make an offering to a trader or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was a. These are used for empowering payments, but huh? That's funny. Yeah, there's no blacksmith up here, so I don't know what that's about. Sorry, that distracted me for a moment. So what are you thinking working on this? So just so you guys know, the Enigma autopay there, which is actually what we're walking on right now, these like sky paths. Dhakhar is the one who gave me the core that I used to make this script. So like you've only seen these paths, those of you watching the stream, you've seen them fully made. But when you're the first player there, it actually builds the path in front of you as you travel down it. And this is all something I thought was completely impossible. And then Dhakhar was just like, boom. So how does it feel like that you can make something, give it to someone else, and then like they roll with what you made and add to it and do something? Because I mean, I feel like you have that experience a lot, right? Like you share things with people and.
Yeah, I mean it's fun because like I know what I needed to do to give to you, you know, like I only needed to do part of it and I can give it to you and you can make it like say all the messages and make effects and like add little things and extra bits. So yeah, it's always really fun to you know, help someone with a script and give them something and see what they make of it. But yeah, this was a really fun one to do. It's always more fun for me when I'm not like 100% sure it's gonna work. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I kind of have an idea of how I would do this, but never quite done anything 100% the same. So let's see. And yeah, what you did with the caves was really cool. I was not expecting anything like that.
Yeah, the caves are my favorite part. They're the most laggy part when it's actually making it, but they're really fun.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of objects to spawn in.
And so I'll give a little bit of backstory, but so for those of you who aren't familiar with how like Palm and Enigma works and all these things, Path of Magic is this server we're on right now that I've been heavily EWP scripting for a year. I've been working on it like almost every day of my life. It's a huge passion project. I absolutely love working on it. And in the beginning, it was just practicing, learning new things that were possible. But now it's changed. I'm much more capable and comfortable developing, so I can just like make stuff quickly, right? But one of the things Dhakhar helped me with is I kind of realized like, okay, if I want to be this Valheim propagandist and I want to reactivate the Valheim community and really bring players back, I'm not going to be able to do that with my own server. It's impossible. There's no way to reach enough people if they have to join a server you run. Because even if it was super popular, I'm one person. I can only manage so many people on a server, right? So I always knew that. I was like, this is like a bottleneck. This is something stopping me. But then when I sent a message and I was like, man, is there a way to like make a path? I didn't think so. But Teens, one of the most supportive people in the Palm community, was like, what if the path made itself automatically? And I was confidently like, no. That's not possible. No. We can't do that. No. And then Dhakhar blew my mind. And now there's this Enigma system. And the reason this is so important is because like no map, no portal is sort of the backbone of Path of Magic. But without the server having a pre-built path, no map, no portal's not fun. You need these paths that take you other places. Otherwise, it's Valheim was not developed to be played no map, no portal. I understand they added the world modifier, but like it really wasn't developed that way. It's not designed with those things in mind, so it doesn't really work very well as a game when you play it that way, compared to when there's pathing systems taking you from place to place and place. So that was a big thing for me. And now it's all about this Enigma project, figuring out how I can take on my favorite parts of Palm and put them on Enigma, because Enigma will be a one-click download that anyone can play on any world. That is scalable. That could reach more people. I'm not saying it will, right? But it could.
Yeah. More than 10 at a time, that's for sure.
Exactly. And I think the same with Heim Divers. Like, yeah, just like, oh, that's going to be crazy. So how about, I want to read a couple more of these comments, and then would you be comfortable with logging out, and then you can share your screen and show a little bit of the carrier?
Sure.
Is that cool?
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, and I'll just let you show off whatever you want, ask some questions, but before then, let's see. Shorsum is here. Hello, Shorsum. I assume you're the Shorsum who makes Valheim mods. Welcome. And I'm glad, because you're in the next video I'm working on, so I'm glad you're here. And he says, Valheim is the beautiful catalyst for infinite creativity. Therapeutic as fuck. And easy to mod. You guys hit on a ton of great points so far. And yeah, resource gathering could use some professional upgrade, or progressional upgrade. Yeah, good points, man. Good points.
Yeah. It always feels great when you knock down one of those stone pillars with the planes for the first time, and you're like, oh, so much stone! And then you start building, and it's like, maybe like 10 pieces of stone wall, and you're like, okay, back to the planes.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I really enjoyed, that mechanic. So why don't we log out now? Or I guess I'm sharing my screen. So you log out and then do your thing and tell me when you're ready to screen share in Discord. And so while you're doing that, I'll ramble a little bit about what I've seen from what you're doing so far. So basically, Dhakhar's about to show us the carrier, which is like this mothership where does the player spawn in there when they start?
No.
Oh, no. Yeah, they have to go there. I remember. That's right.
Yeah.
But it is like the hub of the gameplay loop, right?
Yeah. Once you've completed the tutorial, yeah, it's basically your home.
So if you die, what happens?
If you die, you go back to world spawn, and if you died like somewhere you should have died, like in an enemy biome, if you're alone on the server or playing by yourself, you can like pretty much instantly get back to your body. If you're playing with other people, one of the other people who's still alive, if they throw a beacon at your grave marker, they can teleport you back to your body. Or you can get back to the carrier and then journey back into the biome as normal.
I'm excited.
As normal as it gets for Heim Divers.
Yeah, this will be a reward for those of you who've been watching so far, because I know we've just visually it's been kind of, there's some interesting stuff going on occasionally, but for the most part it's just been us walking down a path. Just wait, like I wouldn't even need to talk that much, because your stuff is so crazy, man. It's like, I mean, you could probably convince someone it's not even made in Valheim. And like,
yeah.
Here I'll show something real quick. So basically, perfect. Here we go. So Dhakhar makes sci-fi stuff, and to those of you who feel like Valheim isn't sci-fi, let me give you a little history lesson while Dhakhar is setting this up. Because believe it or not, Valheim actually started as kind of like a sci-fi alien planet game called Tolroko. This is the original project that evolved into Valheim. And you can still find the Tumblr blog And what's so cool about this is back then, he would develop, post some, or Sven, I think, would develop, post some screenshots of the world gen, and write a little post about it. And then he would show, okay, here are the dungeons. This video shows making the dungeons, using algorithms, procedural stuff. You know, like, this for me is something I look at a lot. Because I wonder what happened. This is all I want from Iron Gate now. I'm not saying I want Tolroko. I'm just saying, like, just, like, make a blog where you post the thing you're working on today or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem that crazy to me, to be honest. And especially, this is the guy who started Valheim, and you can clearly see that he started doing that. This isn't just a little, like, one post or something. There's literally 11 pages of updates about Tolroko. And Tolroko was a sci-fi game with alien biomes. But what's the reason I'm telling you all about this is because Dhakhar, what he does, it looks like Tolroko. Like the biomes that he's made in Heim Divers, they look like these. They look similar. There's this one alien, yeah, like this kind of stuff. And then let's see if we go down. There was one particular Tolroko project that, or Tolroko scene that looked very much like what Dhakhar works on. Ah, yeah, here we go. You see this? Look, it's the evil statue. We recognize this from Valheim, right? But all right, now I can see that Dhakhar is onto the screen share. So here we are. Let me just update this. And I'm actually just going to log out of Valheim real quick. And now I'm showing Dhakhar's screen. All right, Dhakhar. All you, man. What's going on here?
So, if you've ever played Helldivers, this might be familiar, but for those who haven't, when you complete the tutorial or you travel here, you're essentially cryo-frozen and dropped off in the ship. So here this is how you arrive here. So we're leaving the cryopod and we're on the carrier now. So there's plenty of stuff to look around at, but we get a little intro here. It says we can say help diver near any terminal to learn how it works. So we can say help diver. And we get a little message here introducing you to the carrier and some different things you can do. But this is your base of operations, essentially, for what you're going to be doing here. Down there is where you select your mission and deploy. Here is the armory. So you've got different things. This is the weapons chest. And this is just the starter weapons you get. And then you can upgrade and get like new weapons here. And these fully replenish. So if I take those, I can then press this. And the dummy will copy what I'm wearing. But it will also refill the chest. So these are like infinite supplies essentially, and you're going to upgrade these as you go through the missions and get different upgrades. So you'll unlock different foods and potions and different sets of armor. So I should really be wearing one of these.
Can I ask you real quick, how do I screen share? I'm trying to figure out how to make the screen you're showing full screen. Because like on the stream right now, it makes it in like a box. And Zeal just asked if I could fully full screen it, but I don't actually know how to do that.
That is a good question. There is somehow you can do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can right now, Zeal. I know what I can do. I can ghetto do it. One second, I'll just do it through OBS. Here we go. This will make it a little bit blurry, but it'll be full screen. Make it a little bit taller. Sorry, I know the stream's looking all crazy. There we go. It should be like right there. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So guys, just so you know, I did click full screen, but when I full screen, it just shows what you were seeing. So I don't know. Does this work? Can you guys see it now?
That looks okay.
Yeah, let's see. Let me try what he said. 1 second. Transform, fit to screen. Okay, back to that. So Zeal said I need to make it pop out. Okay, so exit full screen and then pop out. Okay, and then we have this. And now I make this full screen. And it's exactly the same. Okay, I'm just going to do what I did earlier and just make it so it's zoomed in a little bit. Oh. All right, there you go. Good enough for now. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Go on.
No worries. So this is one of the places where you can upgrade certain things. So these are all the different call-ins. So for example, missile turret tells you a little bit about it, the input you have to use, the cost, and the current tier. And then you can scroll through all of these like such. So this is all the different call-ins that I'll show in a moment. These are just to reset the kill counters, which are all the way over there. We'll look at those in a moment. And then this is your like gear. So improved ammo, so for arrows and things, supplies, food and potions, melee weapons. So then, yeah, you use this currency here. So 999 coins, 8 common samples, and 4 rare samples. And these are basically the gems. You can see here the cost again. So I actually spawn that in. 8 blue, and I think it's, can't remember what my own currency is. Oh no, it's green. I have 8 green. What should we buy? Let's buy the weapon level.
Man, I love the consoles you make. You do a great job with those. I bet people are looking at those and they're like, how is there all the yellow text? How is that there?"
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It functions off of this. So when you press scroll right, it looks at what's here and then determines like what else should happen. But yeah, so we just upgraded the weapon level to level 2. So now if we come back over here, we can see that we have level 2 weapons. So we can get rid of this trash now and take these. You can also see the durability is like 100 million out of 200 because, yeah, we don't really do repairing around here. So let's show off some of the missions.
That's my favorite. The console you're looking at, that's my favorite part of the carrier. And the scene behind it, like, oh, that's so cool.
So this is how we actually do stuff. So first we have to select a planet. And these are your different planets you can select here. Of course, we can type help diver. Oh, that should actually give me a more specific message, but maybe that's not working right now. Something to look at. But yeah, let's just choose this biome. So we've chosen the Aesir biome. You can see that selected now. And now we're going to faster than light jump there. And now arriving at planet Aesir. You can see the environment has changed. And so now we need to choose the drop zone. And here we get a representation of the map. So this is the Aesir biome. So we can maybe choose, let's drop in at the top right corner. Should show there. This is the drop zone we've selected. Now we're gonna commence mission. We have 20 seconds to get to the hell pods. Make sure you're all ready. I should probably take some food with me, but never mind about that. Here we are.
So
Hell
cool.
dived into Acer. And you can see a couple of question marks have popped up as we've arrived. These are like points of interest or different little things you can discover. So let's head to one. Oh dear. Oh, I've not got God mode on. And we've got 25 health. So this is a terminid biome. And probably not going to be here for very long. I can fly.
Looks so
it's
cool.
fine. So yeah, this is a very hostile alien planet with different creatures. They all kind of do different things. Every level is almost like a different creature. So these level 1 seekers, the terminid warriors, they can't really fly. I've kind of made it so that if they try and fly, they'll just like take off again. So you see, he's trying to fly and he lands straight away. And then he does a little fly, but he's like not actually leaving the ground. I've kind of tried to make them more of a land creature. And then the purple guy, he's the stalker, so like he knows where I am right now, even though I'm flying. So he's got hunt mode. He's very fast. Will chase you down, but if I actually, oh no, fail. I was going to show if I hit him, he's going to run away. He's like very timid if he actually has to do a fight straight up.
I mean, I think that's
So
a
yeah.
great thing to show, man. Because one of the things you're really good at is making those custom monster behaviors. Because I know that like you guys watching, you may think those are just like normal seekers, and yeah, Dakhar's telling you it's different. But trust me, he's like changed a lot of the behaviors of monsters. They feel like different monsters with unique behaviors. It's incredible.
It actually gives me a chance to show off the SOS beacon. So now that I've died and I'm back at spawn, I can take the cryo rocket, which is this blue icon on my map. If I fly over here quickly, I could go into one of these cryopods, and this rocket will deliver me back to the carrier. But I can also use the SOS beacon. So you can see in the top left, it's giving me the instruction there. I can type up, down, right, up, or WSDW. And I'm dropping straight back into where my body was.
Man, the drop is on point. It looks nice.
So one thing that's really great about Hell Divers is that it makes death fun. Like it's not really frustrating to die. It's always a fun experience, especially playing with friends. And that's kind of something that isn't really true in Valheim. Death is very frustrating.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to eliminate that as much as possible, and make it super convenient to get back to your body. And yeah. So here we have one of the question marks that popped up on the map, which is an artillery sub-objective. I'm just going to K and get rid of those. So there's different things to do here to get this functional again. We could show that, but there's all these different things as well. Let's just go here, see what this one is.
Hello, Ashenius. Ash is in the chat.
Oh, hey, Ash. This is the Save the Scientists mission. So for this, you have to call an extraction in for these scientists. Can't actually remember how to start it, because yeah, this is more of a work in progress. But yeah, that's one of the objectives. Let's go and see what this one is. This is the power station one, where you need to. Well, we can just start this one. It's telling me install the fuses. Go to ghost mode on. We might even see another mechanic here. These can call for call for reinforcements, basically. They might not be able to do it in the location. But yeah, if you've played Hell Divers and you know bug breaches, they can do bug breaches. So we'll look out for that. But yeah, let me look for these fuses, see if we can get this power station up and running. Go spot one over here. Go. Fuse, aka Thunderstone. Destroy
Good use
this.
for Thunderstone.
Yeah. You have to do a little bit of imagination to make some of these sci-fi elements work, but there's surprisingly a lot of different things you can make use of. There we go. Here's another box of fuses. You guys really don't want me to finish it. That's one. These in the sockets.
I love the visual, the haptic, or the feedback there where the mushroom lights up.
Yeah, the blue mushrooms really coming in clutch. Okay, it's happy we've got the fuses in. So now we're going to put in a little password. Safety has been disengaged. Begin the charging. Now our power generator is up and running, and these machines in here are beginning to charge. Oh, we've got some more beasties arriving. The chargers are quite fun. I kind of want to show those off. Maybe I can thin the herd a bit and show those. Go away, you. Give some of these guys. And where did that charger go? Well, you can see these capacitors are slowly charging up. And that's also indicated here. There's a little yellow bar UI showing us the charging states. And as these are charging up, we've also got the lights on the side. And we can activate them. All the lights are turning blue. So we've now finished that stage. Fully charged. And yeah, it's a bit quieter now the generator's finished. We go up here and we're ready to send the transmission. And now our encrypted transmission begins sending. You can see it's visually being sent out. And this is the progress bar. So yeah, you just kind of have to stay alive while this is happening, and of course doing all the rest of it. But yeah, this is kind of an example of one of the missions, similar to, not directly copied from Hell Divers, but like very much inspired by several of the missions there. Transmission success. You can see we've got 1 star of mission progress now. And yeah, each of these yellow markers will give you a star of mission progress. Some of these give you half a star, depending on which one they are. And then you would head to one of these blue areas, which is the extraction pad. So this is how you leave the biome and get back to the carrier. I'm going to call for an extraction. Left, right, down, up. Pelican 1 is inbound in 60 seconds. So there would probably now be some more enemies spawning around if we weren't in ghost mode. And I think I have some noise triggers to draw enemies to this place whilst you're waiting. Give you a bit of a last stand kind of scenario. You can also see on the roof here, right, wait for some stamina. We'll just use fly. There's some coins up there. So there are little goodies and things you can find. You might have to
And you
find a
use those
creative way
to
get up
upgrade
there.
your weapons and stuff, like you showed earlier?
Yeah. So we will get some mission rewards for extracting, having completed a mission. But then you can also find these coins, and I should probably come back and show the samples as well, how they work. But yeah, there's basically four currencies that control all of the upgrades. So here's Pelican 1 arriving, ready to take us safely home. Board, sit down on the bench, and off we go.
So crazy. So that just so I'm clear, basically, this is the hub. You go down and explore the alien world, and you're basically finding points of interest to complete things to like fill the mission, right?
Yes, exactly.
So would you describe, is it something with like two players working together? How is like a second player, how does that play into it from your perspective?
So all of the things that you buy and upgrade are essentially server wide. So everyone is working together. Um, it's kind of set up to be in like squads of 4, and that's how it is in Hell Divers. But there's really nothing stopping you from all going to the same place. But it also everything should work independently. If one team wants to go to one biome, or one team wants to go to another biome, it should be no problem. The rewards are kind of calculated on a per biome basis. So yeah, I think ideally it should be played with other people and cooperatively. Certainly more fun with the different call-ins, which I didn't even show at all. So I should probably go back and show some of those.
Can you also, maybe you could show that once you select the biome, how it shows that thing on the table? Because I don't think they probably didn't realize how cool that is the first time you showed it.
Sure. So select a different planet here. Do our FTL jump. The atmosphere has changed again. So let's choose our drop zone. So yeah, this, if you look at it from this angle, this is the biome we are visiting. So this is how you choose where in the biome you want to go. So let's say we want to complete, like, maybe we want to drop here because there's an extraction pad nearby. Maybe we can hit these 3 objectives and get out. So like that's roughly like there, right? There we go, bang on. But maybe we change our mind actually. Like, let's go to this top left corner over here. But let's try go near the landing pad. So yeah, let's go like here. That's a bit far. Let me go right on that top corner one. That's a bit near the ocean. Let me go there. Good enough. There, we're happy with that. Lock it in. Make the exact same mistake again and go without any food, but we like to live dangerously.
I love the roll. The roll, it just gets me.
You got to absorb the impact, you know?
Yeah,
You don't want to take all that on your knees. So yes, the call-ins, the actual points of Helldivers in many ways, also come without any bomb smokes, which you absolutely need.
And these are the original things, just to explain to those who are watching. Like, as we mentioned, Dhakhar he wasn't just like, I'm gonna make this whole entire thing. He started by making these like special weapons and bombs, and he's about to show you one of those things. He calls them call-ins.
Yeah, so this is actually the very first one I made. If you see on the top left, the orbital precision strike, right up, which is EDW. Orbital precision strike, waiting target. So we get our smoke bomb out, and let's throw it over there. You can see the beacon. You can see it's on cooldown in the top left. Boom. And then if we try and do it again, oh, it's still on cooldown. We can't do that again. So we could try one of the other ones instead. Let's get a minefield. Down, left, up, right. Minefield awaiting deployment. Let's put it there. Actually, if you're close enough, you can see the exact timer. A little thing drops and starts spitting out mines everywhere. And then let me put God mode on before I kill myself again prematurely. And let's just wander by. Oh my. So this is the first mines you can unlock, which are more like fragmentation mines. Almost like a bouncing Betty, if you've played games with those. And of course, they work on enemies.
So,
Hey, Goblin. I'm over here.
so if I'm understanding right, the gameplay loop is like you're going down, you that looked awesome. You're going down, you're finding these places, you progress them, but while you're doing that, you're being like surrounded and attacked by mobs. There's a lot of fighting, right? It's just not happening right now because you're in ghost mode and presenting this. But
Yeah.
normally it would be harder to do the thing because there's things trying to kill you, right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the creatures they have very different abilities to what you might expect. The automatons are better for showing this. So maybe
Yeah,
we
I was
could
gonna say, could you show some like
pop over
maybe
a
just
few
one
of
of
them.
the like Twitcher alterations you made? Those things are so cool.
For anyone who's played Hell Divers, this is Malevelon Creek. You'll be familiar with the color scheme. So let's see what we've got here. We've got some basic guys. You can see them speaking in binary. They're not very happy. So this is my spawner guy, the level 1 mage. You can see he's casting shields on people. And he will also heal them. He can spawn two basic dudes. And once he's spawned 2, if he tries to spawn another one, he will instead heal everyone around him. So like really crucial to try and take him out. And if only we had something that could take them all out in one swift go. That'll probably do it.
That was a great. Oh, you did great animating that, man. The way the screen flashed, that looked great.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, that was I think Rakar was looking for something originally, and I was like, what if we just put a message on the screen that's a massive white box that covers the whole screen? We could make a
Yeah, the
flashbang.
blind
So,
script. Yeah, flashbang. I remember that.
yeah. So yeah, that's what that came around. Let me get rid of these guys and spawn a charred mage. It should be a level 1 guy. Yeah. So this guy has some cool attacks. He has beam, and then he has these, which are traps. If those hit you, I'll try and show. Oh, there. So I'm stuck now, like in a goblin trap, whilst he beams me
That is
with
cool.
it.
What are the little spikes that I don't recognize them? It looks awesome.
Upside down brazier destroy animations.
Oh, oh, that's a great way to do it because then you don't even have to remove them; they just destroy themselves.
Yeah.
Cool sound effect as well.
Yeah, I made them like each one have a slightly higher pitch than the one before to make the kind of "it's coming to get you" effect.
Yeah, man. I can already tell like this. Like maybe if it's just one person playing, whatever. But when there's like multiple people and you're in voice and hanging out, this is like the core, right? These different monsters and the different attacks you have available against them, and that's like the what makes the gameplay
Yeah.
loop, right?
Yeah, when there's 10 guys chasing you and your friend says, "All right, I'm calling in the big bomb," but you don't have enough stamina to run away. Oh, that's when the voice call gets spicy. missile turret timing out. Yeah, so you can only take 4 call-ins at a time into combat, and they will have they have cooldowns, or in the case of the orange ones, which are the like airstrike style ones, those also have ammo. So this is about to finish rearming, and there we go. I've got my 1 ammo remaining for that big bomb. But then of course we also have access to things like ammo resupply. So again, ease the like dying and crafting. You know, we're not bothered with any of that. We can just call in and get more ammo, or get some more health with the stims, health and potions from this one. And for anyone who's not played Heim Divers, this is supposed to be like the carrier is launching it from orbit and dropping it into battlefield to support us. So yeah, we'll get some foods here and all this stuff. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, really.
Pretty much it.
Pretty much
Pretty
it,
much
yeah.
what you're showing, you mean?
Yeah. The plan is for 8 full biomes. At the moment, you can pretty much see that like 5 of them are done. So yeah, a little bit to go there, but like I'm happy enough with how these all work that I think it's like ready for people to experience. You know.
Yeah, I mean it looks like you're getting close to, like, there's a clearly defined thing to do and a clearly defined gameplay loop. You have the dynamic. It's about like a co-op fighting experience. Like, it's awesome. Like, really awesome.
Thank you.
So what are you thinking about for releasing it? I don't mean like times or when it's going to be released. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, like having a server, not having a server. So what are your thoughts on that as you progress through Heim Divers?
I've toed and froed with like, should I have my own server? But you have definitely convinced me, not directly, but in a lot of ways, you've convinced me that I should, because getting the first-hand experience of people playing it and seeing what they do, what they like, what they don't like, what they understand intuitively, what they don't grasp straight away. Yeah, I think that I need that. So 100% want to do my own server where you'll be my lucky guinea pigs if you join. But of course, I want to offer it to as many people as possible. And
I mean,
the end
honestly,
goal is
man,
really to inspire.
if
You
you had
know,
your own
like,
server and you invited people to live stream and play on it sometimes, even just occasionally, like, that sounds like a fucking great idea. Like, really.
yeah, I would love it for sure.
I think with something like this, the live streaming is really important because it's so cool and awesome and crazy. Words just can't describe it, you know, but it's so visually interesting that if people could just look, they'd be like, "Oh, there's these like 10 Valheim streams, but then there's this one. What is this? It looks different." You know, it's immediately like they don't even have to understand what it is to be visually like curious, you know?
Hmm.
Oh, holy shit. How many of those colons do you have available?
That's how many. I'm kind of running out of room to add any more on on this info. Um, but this is kind of in my debug mode where they all start unlocked. So normally I haven't fully decided yet, but I'm thinking only like 2 or 3 start unlocked. Probably like this one, and this one, I would think. And then yeah, as you upgrade them, sometimes they just get more powerful, sometimes they get different effects. It's all completely different. So the gas strike, prototype chemical formula that sticks to the target, reducing movement, whoever need to come into contact with it. So it's going to slow people down when they're in the gas cloud. But we look at the airburst strike. It stuns people when they get hit by it. So yeah, there's 2 different levels of upgrades for each one, and then there's also kind of like a general for each category. So the gas, the airburst, the precision, and the 120 millimeter HE, they all fall into the orbital category. And this provides benefits for all of those stratagems. So reduces the cooldown of all of them, and faster deployment, meaning they arrive earlier. That's the second upgrade. And then the same thing for the airstrike type ones, the Eagle cluster, the napalm, the rocket pods, and the 500 kg, which is the big bomb I showed. They all get benefits from the hangar upgrades. And doing these actually like changes the look of the ship. So if you don't have any hangar upgrades, this actually I'm not. Is this even here? I can't remember if that's here to even start with, but yeah, we can do the upgrade and see how it changes. So I need a bunch of coins. The lag from spawning that many coins. 10 greens. Green 10 and red 4. Is that many coins? It's 8 and 4. Oh no, sorry, 10 and 4. Success, level 2. And now, oh, what's this? We've got some more crates and stuff and some workers here. So there's a little bit of like visual upgrades as well to go on with when you actually buy them.
Give a sense of progression a bit.
Yeah, it has a lot of that in real Hell Divers, so I wanted to include that. This is part of it as well. This is for like the turrets and all of these green upgrades. Oh, suddenly stopped working. Never mind. But yeah, this unlocks the like workshop area for those different bits. Yeah, so do your missions, get the rewards, come back, upgrade your gear, upgrade your call-ins, go out and do more missions. That's the base structure of it at the moment.
Super cool. So let's say people wanna follow you and make sure that they know when this is out. What do they do? Where do they go?
Best place for sure would be my Discord. Maybe I can put a link in the chat.
Yeah, if you put a link in the chat, I'll put it in the description, at the top of the description of the live stream.
Okay. Yeah, that will be the first place that anyone knows about any upgrades or developments with Heim Divers for sure, and probably share some little sneak peeks from there from time to time. So there's the link.
Absolutely incredible. So how long have you been working on this? Like when did I asked like how you started, but I don't actually remember when you started.
I'm sure we could actually, if I scroll up in our conversation, it should be whenever our first messages were. I'm pretty sure that's exactly when we first got talking. So let's see. Because it wouldn't have been long after that I like really started working on this. As I said, it was kind of only started as my like, let's just see how this all works project.
Yeah.
Scroll up.
I love the top console, by the way, and I recognize those wisp torches, but it looks awesome. Very cool. It has this like
Yeah.
crackling with energy vibe, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get a huge kick out of like making things look a different way than they were supposed to. It gives me the fuzzy feeling that you were kind of talking about earlier. Here we go. Here's our first messages, which were a year and 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I would say roughly a year been working on this.
Oh, it's really come together, man. I can definitely tell as well, like, just based on in the beginning, you would share like a new colon, you'd work on that, you'd share a little bit more of that. But now, like, would you say it's accurate to say the rate at which you're developing has exponentially increased since the beginning? You seem to move forward very
Um,
fast from my perspective at least.
yeah, I mean maybe it's deceptive with just like when and how I was sharing stuff, but I think that's probably somewhat natural because yeah, as I got like more and more familiar with stuff, different different challenges. You know, there were definitely things that I was putting off because I was like, maybe this is possible, but I kind of have no idea how to do it at the moment. And it was only through trying certain things, trying to help other people with problems, you know, that I figured out. Oh wait, actually, this applies to what I wanted to do. I can make use of that. Um, this I just wanted to show as well was the biome you were thinking of when you were showing off the Tolrocco screenshot that
Yeah.
looked like mine. This is my swampy, hot, like sticky, tropical kind of swamp biome. Yeah, and these trees are like ancient root, and then this is an upside down bush.
I didn't even
Plains
notice.
processing.
Yeah, it's a decayed ancient root scaled on other axes more than that is
Yeah, and then
crazy. And
this
those are just bush.
yeah, and this is like the shoot stump. Yeah, those are my little custom swampy trees. Really happy with those.
Yeah, your biomes are great, man. You did great by making them have very clear, distinctly different color schemes. That that
Yeah,
really helps with the feel. And like it's funny because in the Tolroko blog, one of the things they mention is that a lot of the forests don't feel alien enough. I don't get that vibe from Heim Divers. You get that alien exotic feel really well. So cool.
this is the delete that general direction
Yeah.
stratagem. Don't accidentally call it in on your own position.
So one technical question. I've noticed that when you have the messages on the screen, they don't pulse while they're staying there. Or at least like the one in the top left does, but when you use the middle ones, it stays solid. Is that just because it's spamming so much, or how did you? Because mine pulse, but maybe I just don't spam them enough. Like you see
Yeah,
with
maybe like
the one in the top left is pulsing. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
But then the middle ones,
There, you can see this
ah,
one
yeah,
pulsing.
yeah. Okay, so it's just a timing thing. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
that's
this,
not like I thought you knew some way to keep it on the screen, but you're spamming
I,
it, right, to make it do that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The one in the top left is a time controlled poke. Um, it did used to work from like player velocity with a data blocker cooldown. That whole idea.
Yeah.
Um, but then together with Zeal, we discovered that if you're teleporting and that happens at the wrong time, you get black screened. So yeah,
Hey,
it's
I wonder if that's related to that thing I told you about on Palm, where like
mm,
it's like if a poke or something adjusts the data at that moment, they get black screen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it doesn't use any player data anymore. Um, but yeah, this is this has been my Valheim life for the last year, as well as the adventure map stuff, obviously. But yeah, this
Yeah.
has been my,
So
I would say,
how do you balance working on both of them? I mean, to be honest, Dhakhar, like just this alone is crazy. The fact that you're also involved with arguably the most popular custom Valheim world that exists. Like how do you how do you do that? How do you work on both of them?
um, I mean, the easy answer is like, if 9byte is busy, I can work on this, or things like that. So there is definitely like downtime I have, but I mean, it also helps that like 9byte is the person I'm working with. He's so good at what he does. He's like way more organized than I am. Um, and yeah, like super capable of doing like 90% of what we're doing on the map by himself. And it's only like a handful of things. So he's like, I don't really know how to figure this one out. Like, I definitely need Dak for this. But yeah, like I could disappear off the face of the earth tomorrow and like he would be pretty fine, like it would take him more time for sure to do things or like build as much, but yeah, he's super good. Is all I can say really. So that definitely helps with having a second project. But I think it's also that it's different enough. It's the whole EWP versus world edit only kind of thing. It doesn't feel like having two projects. It's
Yeah,
having,
that makes sense, especially because you're
yeah,
not scripting on the other server. Because I mean, with
yeah,
like when I develop stuff on Palm, when I'm working on more advanced stuff, like it's all just text on screen, like listening to music. So it's like a totally different workflow than being in the game and actually like doing things like you would do on the adventure map.
yeah, yeah. And there is stuff we do outside as well because there's a lot of stuff that we just like plan out or discuss, or we have like Figma documents and stuff where we're flow charting like the progression of how they get from this area to this area. Do they have this item, and do they have the key that they need to go back for this door? All this kind of stuff. So there is definitely a lot of out of game work, but yeah, the majority of it is like either he has the map and he's working on stuff that he's doing by himself, a build or like setting up his area or whatever, or I have the map and I'm doing the same, or we're like together working. Usually I'm connecting to him is just how it works out more conveniently most of the time. Um, but yeah, a lot of the time, like planning stage stuff will be together, or like the finishing stages. Yeah, it's really like beginning and end of either like the whole project or separate areas that we like come together. It's like, okay, like how can this be improved? Or, if he's designed a puzzle, I can come in blind and test it and be like, okay, yeah, this part I understood, this part I understood, that wasn't clear straight away. Like maybe we put like a sign here or like a little glowing mushroom to draw their attention, this kind of thing.
So just a couple other questions before we finish up. When you and 9byte launched the adventure map, each of you posted a very high effort video that you had taken a while working on, as far as I know. Um, and then those like snowballed and got quite popular. And then that, as far as I know, I mean, Asmongold reacted to one of those videos, didn't he?
Yeah,
That.
yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that for Heim Divers? Are you gonna make some video like that, or are you just gonna play it? What have you been thinking about it?
I would definitely make a video. Like I really want to make a video about it, and I think I made the video really fun. Um, there's definitely some challenges involved. It's a tricky thing to just present. In some ways, I could make the video as like a pure entertainment piece that is not like, um, you don't need any Valheim knowledge to watch it. you know. But there's also a completely different route I
Or
could
like
take
a
with the video. So,
I was imagining like because I think I remember seeing an ad for Heim Diver or Hell Divers, and so I imagined you just like recreating the scenes with the same angles and stuff as a spoof,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind. Um, so yeah, I 100% will. Yeah, it's just a question of so much to do, you know.
Hey, don't
Definitely.
look
I
at the
mean,
mountain, one step at a time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That is the right attitude. But I mean, it shows that like neither Nightby or myself has posted a video in over a year because like to make room for the work, like something has to give, and like if we don't make the map, there's nothing to make videos about. So like really, the video making has to at least take a bit of a backseat. But that's gonna change now because the expansion is done. Nightby has a video coming out this weekend. I will hopefully have a video coming out soon thereafter. Uh, and then yeah, then it's Heim Divers. Then it's Heim Divers.
That's awesome, man. And thanks so much for showing this off. I was surprised you showed this much. I mean, I didn't know you were gonna actually like this is
Hey,
like a
I'm
proper
happy if you
demonstration,
want to
man.
see it.
Great work.
Yeah, not at all.
So we'll
Yeah.
finish up now. And if any of you watching are interested, this is now a service I offer to anyone. So if you or you know somebody who wants to live stream or join a live stream and either talk about Valheim or show off a project, I've been reaching out to some modders like Balrond, for example, to show off their projects more. I believe personally that while it's true I'm working on Enigma and I'm making these things, my role, my real strength, is helping others find players and get more activity and action for their mods. And I believe that there's already enough active modders that if I give them a place to showcase what they're doing, that will help them help activate the Valheim player base. Because from what I can tell, there is this disconnection where the Valheim player base, that's so cool. The Valheim player base doesn't know what mods are available. And I didn't realize this, but if you look at my channel, for example, I've made loads of Valheim videos, random videos, lots of different stuff. And by far, I think around like 98% of the traffic to my channel about Valheim is for mods or videos showing mods. And so what it showed me is that there is a lot of Valheimers who don't know what's available with mods. And I didn't know that. So if any of you know anyone who's interested, just tell them to reach out to me. I'm looking for more people to do these live streams. I want to make this a regular part of my channel moving forward. And also, of course, Dhakhar, anytime you want to do anything, you're welcome to.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And here, I'll just leave this running for a bit. It's showing your screen, and if someone wants to ask you something, I really need to go use the bathroom. I'll be back.
Sure. have a look in the chat. Happy JP is doing his stuff, so fun to watch and interact with. Yeah, JP is great for doing all this content and all these interviews and stuff, and introducing so many new people to EWP. How do I stop Valheim updates from ruining my installed mods? You can set Valheim to not auto update. That's probably the best thing you can do. But yeah, the best thing you can do really outside of that is have as few mods as possible, as few as you can get by with, and just be patient after updates, because modders need time to fix things sometimes. So, but yeah, I know it's annoying.
I'm back.
Hello, hello.
Let's see, Arif asked about mods, huh? Yeah, that's the great problem with modding, right? When the update happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it depends what you're talking about, Arif, because if you're talking about your local client, there's probably a setting in Steam to prevent it from updating, because it'll automatically update your local client. And then once it does that, you have to set your client to use a previous a Valheim old. So you have to like go into it to tell it to use the previous one. But as for the server itself, there's usually a setting in the host website to prevent auto updating. And I generally follow a policy when there's an update, even of EWP, I don't update until 2 weeks later, maybe a month. In general, it's better for you to wait just to give time for things to get fixed, etc. But ultimately, like, there's no way to really stop updates from breaking mods. It's the biggest problem with mods. The only advice I can recommend is you have to be aware of how many failure points you have. If you have like 100 different mods in your mod pack by 30 or 40 different people, you're gonna have problems in every update, even minor ones. But if you, like, for example, like Dhakhar and I, we pretty much only use Yer mods, so we're usually compatible like day 2. It's because there's only one point break point, and Yer's really, really reliable, more so than most modders, I would say. All right, everyone, I'll actually end it now. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.